Okay, hi boys and girls. Today we are going to be painting a Georgia O'Keeffe inspired flower, and this is what it should look like, or something similar to that at the end. I also did one in purple, and the one that we're going to do together I will do in a different color. So in your art kit you should have received your 4 colors of paint: white, red, blue, and yellow. You should also have received a Q-tip and 3 paintbrushes. You have a flat one, a very tiny detail one, and a big one, along with a plate and a piece of paper for you to put your canvas on when you're painting, because notice you will get paint on the table and you don't want to do that, so you need to put your canvas on top of the paper. We are not actually painting on the paper, it's just there to get our paint that goes over the edge. And you need to have all of these materials close by, because we're going to be mixing colors and we're going to be painting on our canvas. The other thing I want you to know is that acrylic paint, it's not like watercolor, and you don't need to add water. You may want some water because you are going to need to rinse your brush between colors, or you're going to get muddy colors and they'll all turn brown. So I have a cup of water handy as well for rinsing, and a paper towel because we do not want extra water in our paint. So we're going to dry our brush off before we put it into a different color. So the very first thing, and let me move this one out of the way so that we can have our blank canvas. So you're going to have this in front of you. We are going to mix brown for the center of our flowers. And remember from our rabbit book, the brown is just mixing all 3 of these colors together. So we have blue, yellow, and red together, and you're going to just pour a little bit on your plate and mix them together and make sure that they're all mixed really nice. Also, if you have more red than the other colors, it's going to turn kind of pinkish. And if you have more blue or yellow, it'll have that kind of hue. So once you mix those colors together and you have something that looks like this is a brown, we are going to paint the center of our flower. So we're just going to do 1/4 of a circle, and you just make a curve like this. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to go all the way to the edge, because you're thinking that this is like a flower and it would go in a circle. And then you're going to fill in and go all the way to the edge. This is why we gave you paper to put your thing on, so that you can paint over the edge, and if you get it on the table, you have paper there to cover it. Okay, so then we just want to let that dry for a bit. So while we're doing that, we're going to rinse our brush, and then you're going to decide what color you want your petals to be. Now I have 2 samples, so I made this one with purple petals, and the first one that you saw I made with pink petals, and we learned how to make those colors. So pink is mostly white right here with a little bit of red in it, mostly white with a little bit of red, and then you mix it all together, and then you get your pink. And make sure you mix it well so that you have, if you want pink. Now if you want purple petals, you are going to do, here's the purple, you're going to do blue and red, and I'm adding a little bit of white because when you just mix blue and red together, the petals turn, or the purple is a very dark purple, and you might want it to be, so here's how dark it is if you just mix blue and red together, and I wanted it a little bit lighter, so I added some white to make my purple a little bit lighter, and I'm going to mix that well so that I get a nice purple color. Okay, now you can choose one of these 2 colors to mix. For this one, since I've already done a pink one and a purple one, I decided I'm going to do a yellow one, but I want to have some orange accents. So to make orange, we're going to mix the red and yellow together. And this might be a very dark I have a lot of red here. So this, it actually still looks pretty red. So I'm going to add some more yellow. And I might even add a little bit of white, because to lighten up a color, if it's too dark, you can add a little bit of white to, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to just pour it on there. So mix in some more yellow to make it more orangey. And some white. Boop. There's some more yellow. Red is a very strong color, so if you use a lot of red, you're not going to get that orange that you want. See, there we go. We have a little bit more orange right there. Mix it all in. Okay, that's a better orange right there. And flowers come in all different colors, so you get to choose whatever color you want your petals to be. Okay, I'm going to rinse that out a bit. So my base color, I want them to be that orangey color that we just made. So I'm going to take my orange and I'm going to make my petals, and they have to go all the way to the edge. And we're going to just keep doing that, and you want them to touch, and they go all the way, and you're going to kind of curve out like a little leaf, because petals are leaves. They're narrow at one end. We start right here, and another one here, until you go all the way around. And I'm going to do one right there. Okay, so we have the base color. Now, in order to make it look a little bit more 3D, what we need to do is we need to add the stripes on top. Now, since I used orange, I need to pick a darker or a lighter color. And I am going to add a little bit of yellow. So I'm just going to take yellow, and at the bottom, I'm going to follow my curve, and then I'm going to make some little bits at the bottom like that. And they're going to be different lengths. And I'll do that on all of my petals. But it has to be a different color. Now notice it's mixing because my paint is still wet. This would work better if I waited, but I want you to see how to do it. So I'm putting my yellow, I'm following along with my petals, a little bit like that. Okay, and on the next petal, and the last petal. Okay, so it looks like that. Now, I'm going to take the tiny brush that I have currently in my white, and I'm going to add a little bit of red accents to mine. So I'm going to take some red, and I'm just going to follow along it, and then I'll make some little, and they're going to be different lengths, red, and I mixed a little bit of white in there. So that you have these lines, because flowers a lot of times on their petals have these things called little veins, and they're different colors from the petals. So you're going to don't do it, you don't want it all over, because you want the main color to be orange or whatever color you've chosen. And then I go around and I make little lines at the bottom to define the petals there, like that. Okay. Now, when we are done with our lines, we're going to go back and work on the center. So we're going to take our Q-tip, and I have it dipped in yellow, and I'm going to make little dots along the edge where the petals meet the center. So I'm just going to do little dots like that. All along, dab, 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 all along the edge. Then I'm going to make dots in the center, Because if this is like a sunflower, it has the seeds right in the center. And it just has random dots. Now you could use white to do this if you would prefer, but I like the yellow. Now, for the background, I don't want to leave this white. And I don't want little bits of white in here, so I'm going to go fill in between the petals there. Okay, but in the background, I don't want it to be white, so I'm going to add blue to the background. Now, on one of them, I used a dark blue, but I think I want a little bit lighter blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take on my plate, I'm going to take some white, and then I'm going to add a little bit of blue, and I'm going to be careful not to get blue in there. Okay, now I'm going to mix it together. And then I'm going to get this real nice light blue. And I'm going to paint these little spaces behind my flower. And I want to use my paintbrush carefully. And you can wait for your petals to dry so that you won't be spreading the whatever color petal you have into that paint. Because if it's wet, it will get in there and will change the color of your paint. If you mix, it'll end up mixing the colors. So then I'm just going to go back and touch up all these white spaces in the background. So I did blue background on this one, a light blue background. And there is my sunflower. Now you could do this with yellow petals, you can do it with the purple petals, you can do it with the pink petals. Now let me show you all of mine together. Move this out of the way. So when I put them together, I have orange, pink, purple. Okay, so yours should look something similar, but you're going to get to choose which colors you make. And that's the beauty of art, is that everyone's art looks a little bit different. So I want you to follow the method that I used and the design that I used, but you get to choose the colors. So this one has a light blue background, this one has a dark blue background, this one has a yellow background, but they all have the center that kind of meets up together, and they all have petals with the streaks on them. Okay, I look forward to seeing your Georgia O'Keeffe inspired flowers on your canvases. So please, when you're finished and it's dry, that you upload it to Seesaw so we can see it.